Hi, this is Chad at zplane Development, and in this video I'm going to give you a technical overview of RETUNE, zplane's polyphonic pitch shifting plugin. So let's check it out. So what do I mean when I say that RETUNE is a polyphonic pitch shifting plugin? Well, a normal pitch shifter will take all the audio coming in and shift all of it up and down in pitch by some interval that you specify. So if you've got something coming in the key of C major, you can transpose it up to E major, A major, whatever you want, but it's always going to be something major. You can't change that. But RETUNE allows you to actually specify individual pitch classes, say all the Fs or all the A sharps in the song, and only transpose those to a new pitch while leaving all the other pitches the same. And this can effectively change the key of the music. Take something that was in C major and convert it to C minor, or even change it into a different mode. So if you had something that was in minor, you could change it to Mixolydian or something like that. Now this becomes really powerful when you're trying to create compositions and you're pulling elements from various sources like sample libraries, or you're doing a remix for someone and you're trying to take the parts from the original and integrate them into your own composition, but you're finding that certain notes just seem to clash. Well, RETUNE allows you to fix this so that you can still use all these loops within your composition. Now, I'm going to show you first how RETUNE works on a very technical level, and then in a follow-up video, I'm going to show you how to use this in a more practical sense, where I do take a bunch of mismatched loops and use RETUNE to gel them together into one groove. So let's dive in. So this is the RETUNE plugin, and its interface is broken down into about 4 sections. There are some controls across the top for setting the input key. There's a similar set of controls across the bottom for setting the output key. On the right side will be some parameters that fine-tune the performance of the RETUNE algorithm. But in the middle here, this big section is where all the fun happens, and this is the pitch mapping matrix. Now, the interface of RETUNE can be configured a little bit with these buttons up here in the corner. By clicking this one, you end up getting a very compact view where all you really get is the input and output key settings. The middle will add the pitch mapping matrix, and then the advanced view includes the parameters on the right. And I'm just going to leave it in this view for the remainder of this video. Now, this matrix view might look familiar to some of you. Indeed, there are some devices out there that have a similar matrix and actually attempt to do something very similar to what RETUNE does. Ableton actually has one of these devices built in, and it's called Scale, which looks like this. And as you can see, it's got a similar grid matrix interface. But the main difference between Scale and RETUNE is that Scale works in the MIDI domain. You must have MIDI information coming into the plugin, and then it will take those MIDI pitches and move them to different pitches before sending that MIDI out to a virtual instrument or an external synthesizer. But with RETUNE, this works entirely within the audio domain. You do not need any of the original MIDI data that was used. In fact, some instruments like guitar have no MIDI data. All you really need is just the audio, and RETUNE will be able to do its job. Now, the way RETUNE works is by taking some specified input and changing it to some specified output. As an example, I've got a D major scale here. Since it's D major, I want to tell RETUNE that it's D major coming in. I could just manually set this to D major right now, but there's also a feature here called Learn Key. So if you don't happen to know the key of the music you're working with, you can just have RETUNE figure it out by playing the music and then clicking Learn Key, and it tells you it's D major. If that was wrong, I could click the red X and it would just throw it away, but since it's right, I click the green check, and that now sets D major here. And we also see D major as the output because everything is still set to default, so when I play this back, there's no changes at all. It's still a D major scale. But we can now come down to the output scale and choose something else, like minor. And upon doing this, we will now have a minor scale upon playback. Yep, we can change it to Locrian. That's Locrian. We can change it to Lydian. Yeah, and as you can see, RETUNE was able to just change those notes as necessary while leaving other notes where they should be, and we can even see that in this matrix by seeing how these nodes moved around. So let's take a look again at the minor setting. We can see that we don't have a perfectly diagonal line through here anymore. Some of these blocks have moved, and we can read what's happening here by looking at the pitches across the top, such as maybe this F sharp here, and following it down until we run into a node. Once we run into a node, we turn right and follow it across to another pitch, and now we know the mapping. We can see that all F sharps that come in are going to be converted to F on the way out. But an E coming in will still be mapped to E. Same with D. So there are a number of notes which will not be changed, but the F sharp will be brought down to F, the B will be brought down to A sharp, and the C sharp will be brought down to C natural. And this gives us the minor scale. Yeah, works. Now, you can also do this on polyphonic material, and this is where RETUNE really starts to come into its own. What I happen to have here is a chord, a major 7th chord. So I'm going to set this to A major on both sides, and we now will hear the A major chord. That's our A major chord, but I can also choose minor. And now it's a minor chord. So it brought down the 3rd and the 6th and the 7th to make it minor, but I could choose something like harmonic, and we can see right up here that the 7th is not going to be brought down a half step. It's going to be left natural. So we're going to kind of have this major 7th on top of a minor 3rd, like this. Right? And you can just hear this change as you choose different scales. It all happens instantly. In fact, you could do something really weird, like start clicking all over the place and create something that's like not a key at all. I don't know why you'd want to do that, but it is possible with RETUNE. Now, there's also some additional things that can be done to fine-tune this translation that's happening, and that's going to take place behind this tuning fork here. When I click this, now we see a bunch of individual sliders next to all the output pitches, and this allows us to offset the tuning for each individual pitch that goes out of RETUNE. Now, there's some presets up here. The equal temperament preset is the tuning that we're all used to, and to give this like really impact, I'm going to use a synthesizer to play this chord because as I change the tunings, it'll be easier to hear how these tunings affect the sound when it's just done with some really pure waveforms as opposed to that piano. So here is an A major 7th in equal temperament tuning. That's what we're used to. But now there's something in here called pure tuning. And as you can see, this preset started applying tuning offsets to all these pitches. And what's interesting about pure tuning is this creates perfect intervals between the notes such that they don't beat against each other. So when I play this chord now, it's going to sound strangely pure. It's going to kind of cut through it and sound almost artificial. And to help contrast this, I'm going to just allow this loop to play through a few times and just switch between equal and pure tuning back and forth so you can hear the changes back to back. Check it out. Here's equal. So with pure tuning, that almost sounds like an alarm or something. It's very strange. Yeah, equal is what my ear is used to, but as you can see, there are many tunings to choose from, and you could also just start really messing up the tuning yourself and get things very out of pitch. Right? But just going back to equal resets it all. So that's the essence of how RETUNE works. Now, if this information has already piqued your interest and you want to try this in your own music, you can go to the zplane.de website and download the RETUNE demo from there. RETUNE comes in VST, AU, and AAX formats and is available for both Windows and Mac. And the Mac version is both Intel and M1 compatible. So that's a nice technical overview, but in the next video, I'm going to show you how to actually put this to use by applying RETUNE on some loops to get them to all gel together. together. So see you in the next video.